Okay, so now let's go with this question I call, what are you currently obsessed with?
Okay.
So this can literally be anything.
Sure.
A workout at the gym, a new restaurant, and maybe an Instagram channel, YouTube channel, a workout, anything.
Yeah.
Podcast, book, anything. What's something you're currently obsessed with?
Currently obsessed with. I think right now it's just giving back. Like,
oh my goodness. You can't say that, man. You cannot say that.
I think you can definitely say that.
Ready?
No. I think like a quick yawn.
It's all good. Okay, so welcome to another.
Hold on.
Okay.
Like quickly on.
Yeah, when you work too hard, bro. Grinder.
Good to go.
Alright. Welcome to another episode of AtilaTV. Our guest for today is the legend, Umesh Debate.
How's it going?
Welcome, Umesh.
Thanks for having me.
So Umesh is currently a capital product intern at Flexport, and before that he worked on the product team at Clearbanc and Toast, and before that he worked at Shopify Plus and don't tell me TD. So that's 5 internships, and he hasn't even graduated university yet.
So it's the experience of Waterloo.
Yeah, speaking of Waterloo, he's currently in the Waterloo prestigious Waterloo Engineering. I'm gassing this guy up right now. The prestigious Waterloo Engineering program as a systems engineer. So a lot of stuff to talk about today. So Umesh, again, thanks for joining us. Man.
Of course, thank you.
So the first question I always like to start off with is Umesh at 16. What were you like when you were 16 years old?
So it's funny. We actually met when I was 16.
Yeah.
16-year-old me was very confused on what to do or what to like, how to do things. I think my goal at 16 was like, have some fun. I was pretty broke and I wanted to play video games, so make some sort of money and like enjoy that. But it's also like, how do I learn? Going into some of the schools that I went to, there weren't many learning opportunities or opportunities to learn outside of school. And so at 16 it was like, what am I doing with my life? So, trying to figure out what other people have done with their lives or figure out how I can do things with my life as well. Mm-hmm. And so that meant, connect, like even when we met, we were going through a mentorship program together. Mm-hmm. And the goal from that was to figure out what to do, how to do it, but also make like, at the time it just meant making like some amazing friends. Mm-hmm. And even though, what is this, like 6 years ago when we met, wow. It's just like you meet some people and you just hang out with them and become really good friends over time.
And then so grade 11 you start like figuring things out, like you're doing a bit of coding, playing video games, and then of course now you have to do what everyone else has to do. What do you want to do, like university wise or university at all? So what sort of schools were you looking at? What programs were you looking at?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I was confused between engineering and business. I think my goal was either go to Waterloo Engineering or Western Ivy. So it's funny that we're talking in the Ivy building today. It was a hard decision. It was trying to figure out what to do full time, like what I actually want to do. And at that time, being in grade 12 or late grade 11, you're still trying to figure out like what you kind of like and what you don't like. And for me, what I really enjoyed was just like building things. Even when in grade 11, grade 12, I was just like messing with like circuits, messing with like just random things, just trying to see what works, what doesn't work, breaking so many things. But because of that, I kind of realized like, hey, I want to learn how everything works and be able to like understand that, so I can like make things. And so then I chose engineering, where I feel like the business side of things are more like, you have something, now you can go ahead and actually like launch it or sell it, and that was fantastic, but my whole kind of essence was like how do I actually build this from scratch or build this with someone. That's
interesting. So it's very interesting you mentioned that you were trying to decide between business and engineering, because I was in the exact same boat. I was actually looking at Queens, and Queens had to do either engineering or business. Right. But then Western you could do both, which is why I chose Western.
Oh yeah.
Did you know about that program?
I actually didn't. So this is my lack of like due diligence and like my lack of like naivety, where it's like the engineering was just like in high school you kind of get so blown away with all these engineering schools. Yeah. And for Western, I guess the hype was Ivy or just going to the business program, being part of that community and going through HVA. But with kind of engineering, it was more like you just choose an engineering program and go do it. There wasn't really the mentality of a business side to it. And so it's funny, I think it was like a year into Waterloo, a friend of mine was like, you actually were like, oh yeah, I'm going to be doing this and this, or like there is this program that exists. So I think if I were to do this all over again, I might have actually ended up at Western, but looking back, I don't know, I feel like with Waterloo you get the opportunity to co-ops and get to be with the core throughout all the years. which I think is very different than a lot of the other universities.
That's true.
So I think that itself is a pretty valuable thing.
So then, now let's talk about, again, so you end up choosing Waterloo Engineering. So I mentioned in the beginning, Waterloo Engineering, very prestigious program, very competitive program to get into. Now, whenever I ask this question, people always want to be modest and like, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you have to like, looking back on yourself, what do you think it is that helped you get into like such a competitive program?
Sure. I think the first thing was marks. Like, Waterloo's a very, as you said, competitive program, and year over year the benchmark or the like requirement to get in increases. It's insane how some students actually have 98 averages even.
What did you have when you applied?
When I had in high school, I had 96 cumulative.
96, wow.
Yeah. So that was like, I think at that point good enough. I feel like right now if I reapply, it might not be.
Yeah,
it's become so competitive. So I feel like I've gotten during an easier period of time. And I think when I actually applied was for engineering, for electrical engineering. It's something my dad was doing and a lot of my like friends and family were doing. So for me, I wasn't sure what engineering I would go into, but you seemed like the most I guess reasonable choice or the most attractive at that point. And when I was applying, it was just like I remember writing the AIF and talking about exactly what I mentioned, which is like playing with things, trying to break things, trying to actually just figure out how to build things from scratch. That might or might not help my case of getting into Waterloo, but that's kind of what I wrote about and was passionate about at that time.
So one of the things I always wonder about, like, so I know with Ivy, they're always like, it's not just enough to have high grades. You need to also have like extracurricular to be well-rounded.
Yeah.
For Waterloo Engineering, is it like mostly like all grades, or like do you need to do other stuff as well?
I don't know. I think it's like with the AIF. I think I remember reading about like for all those who did want to go to engineering, Professor Bill Anderson's like famous blog for Waterloo Engineering. He talks about how like you need to have the grades, but then the AIF could bump your score. So as far as I know, again, not part of the recruiting for Waterloo, is that you apply with a grade, and the AIF can like bump you 2 marks or 3 marks, and then that overall kind of accumulated value is what is compared against others. And the AIF to talk about it, as I mentioned, like your passions, your interests, also your extracurriculars. In extracurriculars in high school, I was super involved with student council and with DECO, and VPs of both, and I feel like those probably helped as well in terms of like the AIF form. What
about in terms of like, do you need like prior, and I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it. Do you need prior engineering experience? Like, does that help your application?
I don't think so. I don't have like much engineering, like real engineering experience. Like for me, it's just tinkering with math type things, just messing with it. I know a lot of friends who come in.
I've never coded
before. And even for me, like grade 11, grade 12, like very little coding, very marginal. Just the ICS course in high school. But even then it wasn't very engineering heavy for my aspect.
So now you're in Waterloo Engineering.
Yeah.
You got it. So actually, quick last question on that piece. What other schools did you apply to?
Yeah. So I was like not confident at all, and I was like super scared of like even getting in anywhere. So I actually literally like wasted all like the application fees and paid for. I think I applied like nine schools. Nine schools.
And you got through your
nine programs. Programs. I think it was like 5 schools.
What were the schools? Do you remember?
Yeah. So it would have been Waterloo, McMaster, Western, Queens, and Schulich.
And like a combination of business and engineering.
That's correct.
Cool.
Yeah. So those 5 schools, 9 programs. Yeah.
And you ended up getting your top choice, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So as soon as I got that, it was like, holy crap! Like this is.
Accept right away.
Yeah. Just take it. Well, no. Even when I got that. And they got the Ivy kind of offer, it was the BMOS Ivy, I think that's what it was. Yeah, it was a hard decision, as I said, and it took some time to kind of reflect and again understand what I wanted, and I felt like Waterloo was the right choice at that point, and I'm happy I took it.
That's nice to hear. So now you're in Waterloo.
Yeah.
You're in the so-called promised land, I guess, Waterloo Engineering. And then so you mentioned that this before the internship, we were talking a bit off air, and you said that. Because I thought you had always been a systems engineer.
No.
You mentioned that you actually started off in electrical, made the switch to systems. Why is that?
Yeah, so electrical was really cool. As I mentioned, like going in, the idea was electrical was like, again, my goal was to figure out how to build things and how to build things from scratch. In my first year of electrical, I realized that it wasn't exactly the case. Electrical is very like great for if you want to like improve things, or if you want to like know the specs of like very electrical heavy or software heavy things. And that wasn't very interesting to me. I did know of a program called Systems Engineering, which I feel like there's not a lot of like resources online, especially as a high schooler, talking about systems, or there wasn't really many people that I knew that went to systems. Actually, I didn't know anyone who went to systems when I was in high school. But the idea of systems is, taking the same idea of all the engineering programs, putting into one. And the idea is that you can have the understanding of like every single aspect of things. Probably not the expertise aspect, but you have like workable aspects. So you'll know how to kind of like design a chip, or you'll know how to like build some software, or understand which kind of plastics are better for something. But with that knowledge, you can build whatever you want. And that's exactly what I wanted out of an education, and that's why I made that switch.
Was it a bit nerve-wracking at all to make the switch? Or?
Oh yeah, like making that switch, you have to like apply, like this is I think it was 1B, so part of those like, you have 4 months of school, so 1A is 4 months, and 1B is 4 more months. My 1B term, I applied because they wouldn't just like let me transfer, so I had to apply, and I was considered amongst the like other high school students that were applying.
Wow.
So now I'm like essentially just compared to all these other high school students who are coming in, and they're looking at my engineering marks now, they're looking at my high school marks, and yeah, somehow managed to get in again a competitive class. And so I did lose a year because of the switch, but I think it was definitely worth it.
Okay. So then now you're in Waterloo, and then so again you have a lot of internship experience, so we're gonna go through all of them. But between, let's say, TD was engineering, Shopify was engineering, then was it Toast or Clearbanc that came after? Toast, then Clearbanc.
Other way around.
Clearbanc then Toast.
Clearbanc then Toast, yeah.
And then now finally Flexport. I think the first question I want to ask you is, sort of how did you decide what kind of companies you would apply to, what companies you would accept?
Yeah, I think in the first internship, it was like just a spread of like applying to all these jobs. There was actually one internship before TD, which was like a small.
Amina Health.
No, that was a startup that I was working on with some other folks.
Okay.
So Vitameter at that time, but even before that, like my very first internship. And that was like a software consulting kind of firm, very like 3-person team in Toronto. And like I think as a first year, when you're applying to all these jobs, it's frightening. You're competing against some like really amazing talented engineers and CS folks, and you're just straight out of like high school. Like Waterloo kind of throws you in the system where I think in like October, so you graduate high school in April. Come September, you're enrolled in school. Come October, you're now applying for jobs.
Wow, that's true.
Like 2 months in, you're getting your resume set up and applying to these jobs as a first internship.
That's an interesting point you mentioned too. I think that's one of the reasons why Waterloo does so well with placements. Is like, I didn't really start applying to real jobs until like second year of university, like January, February, March.
Right.
So you're saying like right after high school, your second month of university, getting your resume ready.
Right. It was frightening. And again, like I don't have much experience or don't have much knowledge, and so I'll be honest, it was just a straight up like apply to all the jobs that are entry level, or like rank all the. You can see how many people apply to those jobs in Waterloo's system. So on like the day before, you can like see the minimal amount of the job that had the least amount of applicants.
So this competition.
Yeah, so like just straight up just like applied. You have 50 applications, I think. So just like used up all 50, just applied to all like a huge set of companies that I feel like I could have done something. And then you got matched with this company in Toronto.
So now let's like sort of jump through like currently now, right? Like,
sure.
So like maybe when you first did off, you didn't have a lot of leverage. Like sort of just take whatever comes out.
Yeah.
Now that you can be a bit more selective, you can really choose your own destiny, as I say in basketball. You can control your destiny. How do you sort of decide what kind of companies you're going to work for?
Yeah, I think like right now, like even as I just finished my like recruiting season, I think I look for 2 things. One was like I know exactly what kind of company I'm looking for in terms of the size. In terms of like what they do, how they help the world. My goal, I guess, for this internship was like to work on a team that was small enough to be doing like really big things. I think working in a small team in a big company is probably the most exciting thing you can do. And the reason I say that is that you're not afraid that the company will go under, but also you're kind of like free to do and like give ideas to a small team. And I think it's been the case for almost every internship, which is why I've loved them. And so so this term was like looking at the company, and then the second thing was looking at the growth of myself. Now that it's my last internship, you kind of have to figure out where you're going to go full time, and the opportunities that they offer are kind of like your last internship will ideally convert to full time. So you have to be really selective of like what offer or opportunity to choose. So some of the opportunities were just internships without the ability to go full time for some other reasons, and then there's some that are just like, here's the internship, and if you do well, we'll convert you full time. And so, just being selective, like what you want to do full time, and kind of seeing yourself there.
Yeah. It's interesting because you mentioned something which I think I actually disagree with.
Sure.
Or, there's a difference of opinion. Like, there's not a wrong or right answer. Yeah, so you said that working for a small team in a big company is the most impactful or interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it's not necessarily, it might not be the most impactful, but I think it's probably one of the most exciting opportunities because you'll be able to learn a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to stop you. So I actually think that, so you said learn a lot, right? I actually think that when you work for a small company, a small team in a small company, I think you probably learn
small team in a small company.
Yeah.
Okay.
So small is good.
Small. Okay.
And the reason for this is, again, I worked at one of the biggest employers in Canada, RBC, and I had a great time there.
Yeah.
And I worked for literally a 4-person startup before. I think in terms of speed and excitement, I think you probably find that more in a startup.
That's
just because of the fact that when you work for larger companies, there's a lot of legal issues you run into, a lot of meetings, a lot of bureaucracy. It's not necessarily their fault, but if you're just a young person, you trying to learn and do things as fast as possible,
definitely,
that could slow you down.
That's fair.
So that's just my opinion.
The problem with that is that I've, even the first internship, with a small company and small team, you have the risk of the company kind of vanishing or your team just evaporating.
But I would also say that when you're young, your risk tolerance is high.
It's fair. I feel like over the times, and then again, as we're talking about all these internships, your risk tolerance kind of gets lower in terms of what you want to do.
That's true.
Even as myself, I don't see myself kind of building my own company or anything just yet. I feel like I'm still a bit too young. I still need a lot more experience to kind of be kind of peaked at that. And being a part of for example, Flexport, right? The most recent company that I was with, the team I chose was the capital team, where they offer kind of financing for the companies that use Flexport to ship their goods. And the team was just at that time it was 3 people. Completely new idea, it's a completely new project. But I know that going into it, they have their fund, they have everything they need, and they have the support to do whatever they want. So now I can join a team that's essentially brand new, and be able to both make an impact, but also be able to learn as much. Because while they're learning, I'll probably learn with them.
Yeah.
While the other way around is that if you have a big team and a big company, everyone there probably has some really good knowledge, which is great, but they're already kind of done learning per se, in terms of how to build a team, or how to actually launch this product, or actually how to come to due diligence of these products. And I think you can't really get that when it's a big company, big team. But the other way can also be said for small company, small team, which is where you might not even get to the stage of launching something, or you might not get to the stage of actually going through the process of figuring something out.
And the point you mentioned about how you said you're not ready to start your company just yet, I also think too, I'm starting to think about this more often, is not everyone necessarily needs to start a company.
Right.
Some people can be perfectly happy just working for someone else. Yeah. And working towards a vision that they believe in. So there's this pressure that not everyone has to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
It's just something to think about. So you mentioned something else, so I asked you, okay, what are some things that you're looking for? You said team size. You also mentioned what the company is doing, their mission. Yeah,
so I guess there'll be 2 kind of forks. First, the organization, and the second is personal growth and career growth. And so, going back to kind of the mission of their company, or what they're kind of trying to fulfill, that goes into the first fork of the organization. And so the companies I'm choosing are more kind of helping either fix a problem that a lot of people are facing, and trying to help people mitigate stress, or mitigate some sort of way to help them out. So some things that I would eliminate really quickly would be hedge funds or something like that, where you're just making the rich richer, which is great. But I feel like there's a lot of common hedge funds, or a lot of common problems that all these people have solved. The things I was looking for was something a little more niche.
Well, the problem that hedge funds are trying to solve is making more money.
I
don't think that problem's been solved.
It's not solved yet, but I feel like if you join a hedge fund, I guess what is the mission of a hedge fund? And I think for those who want to make a lot of bank and just make stacks of money, I think it makes great sense. For me, it's more I want to have, first of all, I guess have something that I'm building to help people, but then it's also live a decent life. So not in that very how do you say this, not living paycheck by paycheck, which you have to kind of do as a startup or at a very small company.
That makes sense. So out of all the 5 internships you've had so far, and you said now you've been working at Credit Karma next.
That's correct, yes.
Now we're up to 6 internships.
We're up to 6.
Haven't even finished university yet.
Yeah.
Out of all 6 of those internships, which one was the most difficult job to get?
the difficult job to get. I think it was the last one, the most recent one, Flexport. It's actually a funny story. So, and I think this is like one of the things that I didn't realize was a thing, and I've always heard about it, but I've never really like realized it was a thing. Is that when keep on trying even though you get rejected, like keep on trying. What by that is I actually applied to Flexport through the recruiter, sent her an email and said, hey, like interested in product or being an analyst for this team, I know you're building this, and I think it was like within 15 minutes got a reply like, sorry, we're not looking to hire for this position, but if you're an engineer or if you're a software engineer, we'll interview you. And I was like, no, I'm trying to product. They're like, no, like complete deny, just essentially rejection. So that really hurt, where it's like, all right, this is kind of like a great company, a great team, exactly what I want to do, and I can see myself working there. And after rejection, I'm like, no, screw this. Sent the CEO of the company an email.
Man.
So it's funny. So this is Ryan at Flexport, Ryan Peterson at Flexport.
How do you get his email?
So you can make email permutations, or there's a lot of like websites that can like permutate the emails for you or figure that out. So sent me an email and said, hey, like this is my background. I'm a tech background, I have a product background. I know you have this team, and all I said was like I need 15 minutes with you, and I want to like be a part of this team and be able to build this team. And the next day he replies, and he didn't like call or anything. He just like CC'd me to my recent boss, saying, hey, this is like an intern, might be interested in your team, go talk. And after a few like interviews with them, like a bunch of interviews, which is like kind of surprising not surprising, but it was like very unstructured. How do I say this? Nice? Like it was very hard interviews because like very different people.
Yeah.
Like my first one was like my direct manager. Second was like actually my recent mentor, and they were all talking different things from my experience, my reason, like what I could offer, but also what I can learn or what I want to learn. And I think that was like probably the hardest internship to get because of like the concern that like, all right, this is kind of like a dream job right now, and the fear that if they find out that I already got rejected, they might not even be open to talking. So it was kind of hard and tricky to get, but I was glad that I went through that and like still kept on hammering it even after the rejection.
Dude, I love this. Such a boss move. The recruiter says no, like screw this. I'm gonna email the CEO. I like that.
And like surprisingly, like you can like surprisingly you like open it up and like reply.
I always tell people too that like if you're applying for a job, this is sort of my advice to you guys. Like I actually don't recommend everything works. But I actually don't recommend reaching out to recruiters personally.
That's right.
Because again, first of all, recruiters, they get so much deal from them. And also, I feel like they're just sort of following an algorithm.
Yeah.
Like you don't match this box of criteria that I was told to look for, put you aside.
Which is fair, and they're doing their job. Like
that's true
for that. Yeah.
That's true.
And like I wasn't a Waterloo Engineering software developer intern, so because I wasn't that, it's like a quick X get out. But it was probably one of the most like impactful experiences, but also one of the most like learning experiences as well.
So speaking of that, then like for someone who's trying to get a job in tech, tech is hot right now. We all work in tech. What sort of advice would you give someone?
Yeah. So I'm gonna camera for this one. Honestly, I think it's two parts. One is kind of figure out what you want to do. If you don't know what to do, just take a hit and like just choose something, and then learn it. Like learn it really quickly. You don't have to be the best at it, but be able to be like somewhat proficient, and then just go and like apply to all these jobs that you can work at. Like if you're an entry level person, I think the first job should not matter where you go long term. Like the first job is more figuring out how I use my internships and how I think everyone should use your internships is trying to figure out what you don't like, but also what you do like. So through my internships, I realized I don't like coding, and I like realized that early on, which is great. So now I can like make sure I don't.
How about more tactical in the sense of like, so a couple of things that come to mind. First thing is like, people always ask me this, right?
Sure.
Okay, I want to email the recruiter, or I want to email the CEO.
Yeah.
What should I put in that email?
Yeah.
Or how do I humble brag? Stuff like that.
Okay, first of all, don't make generic emails. That's the biggest like no that anyone can say. I've been hit with like generic emails by like recruiters or even like students, and you can sense you can tell, and it's just like you don't even like reply to it. Like if someone sent me an email and it was like genuine, and if I could help them, I would. If I can't, then it's like I'll reply and say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do this, but best of luck. But if it's a generic email, you just delete it. Like I think it's a lot of people as well. What you should write in those emails, honestly, just talk about like be honest with what you want. Everyone has a goal, or everyone has a desire, and I will know that, like, or people will know that. So if your goal is to get a job somewhere, just talk about why you want to work there, or what you've heard of them, or what excites you about that. And if you can convince them of that, I think you can definitely get an interview. And then that's when the hard part or the tricky part starts.
So when you email like the CEO, what did you say to him?
So with Ryan, anyways, I sent him an email, and the email said, well, it said two things. The first thing was like, all right, sorry, first of all, apologize for the cold email, also thanking him for like reading this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like just a quick like blurb, like, hey, I'm a student. Oh yeah, always use a student card. Student card helps so much.
That's so true.
Use a student card. Say I'm a student from this. And I heard about like Flexport Capital, and the second one was more sentence was I have a background in lending, I have a background in product, I work at Shopify, so I know about trade, and I'd love to work at Flexport because of like these reasons. And the last sentence is then like kind of a call to action. So when you send an email, like make sure you kind of tell them what to do next.
Exactly.
If you just tell them, like, hey, I'm a student, like, all right, so what?
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for like resume stuff, like, so what? Like,
what's the call to action?
Call to action was essentially, as I said, like, can I have 15 minutes every time to just have a quick call to talk more about this, or be pointed towards the appropriate like manager so I can like learn more. And that's what happened.
So the question I always tell people, this is also like two ways to go about it, like how direct were you? Because like for example, for me, when I cold email people, I'm like very straight up, like basically I want an interview, and I also would like you to refer me, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So like, were you more like indirect, like can I just talk, or like I want to talk so we can get an interview?
So I did some research beforehand. So I kind of like, everyone has some like sort of style. I think a lot of people, some people love confrontation and like just straight to the point. Other people don't like that. Like I think I know some of my good friends who like are in product. If you send them very like straight up email, like, hey, I need this, they'd be like, nah, screw you. Like that's not a very polite way to ask. Well, like for me, it's a guy like direct, like just get to the point.
Yeah.
Right. And I did some research, talked to someone at Flexport who's a recent grad from Waterloo, so reached out to him and said, hey, like, how is this doing? Like, what's going on, or what should I know about Flexport? And during this is before even reaching out to recruiters, just trying to figure out what the mindset of like Flexport is. Trying to figure out how people at Flexport are. Are they direct? Are they not? And so based on his kind of feedback, he kind of like gave me the rundown of like, hey, the recruiter is like very nice, like she's such a like amazing person. So like be like very like clear and like be like very like transparent. And he's like, the CEO is like very direct, like very fast. So I'm like, all right. So if I were to talk to the recruiter, which I did, and wrote an email, very like soft, very like nice. And once I got the rejection, just went to the CEO and said, all right, here's what's up.
Yeah.
And that might not work for a lot of people, honestly. I think it was a ballsy move, but he could have just thrown that out in seconds, and if it was like a bit wrong.
Yeah.
But it worked.
And then so you mentioned something during your while you emailed the recruiter, you said that I want to work on products. Like no, I want engineers.
Yeah.
And then you actually studied engineering.
I did study
But you did like what, 2 engineering internships, then you pivoted to product.
Yeah. So it was like two like actual software development internships. And then switched to Shopify, which is sales engineering. So sales engineering was more like consulting. It was more like, I understand the architecture, I understand how Shopify works, and just work with these customers to kind of either bring them onto Shopify based on the technical aspects, or like upgrade them to Shopify Plus based on the technical aspects. So a lot more of a consulting aspect to it. And during that time, I realized like, whoa, like, hey, I don't like coding, but I do like solving my problems, and I do like working with these customers. And I do like working with like sales and all these other teams, and I think that's when I realized that product was the way to go. And so from there, it's just like, all right, if I have the opportunity to work with people, build something cool, and also work with clients, and that's what I want. And two kind of things like spiked up, which is product and consulting.
So you just finished your internship at Flexport.
That's correct.
And like you just finished recruiting season.
Yeah.
So how did recruiting season go?
Yeah, I think it was one of the like hardest recruiting seasons of like a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was one of the like very like hardest recruiting seasons, especially because like now that you're about to graduate, you kind of figure out where you're going full time, and I feel like the last internship you do is bound to be the full time offer, or ideally the full time position you take, which is the case in a lot of like people's careers. And so it's figuring out like what I want to do now. Like I have some product experience, I have a bit of engineering experience. What is something I haven't tried yet, or what is something I kind of know that I want to do full time. And so going back to kind of the idea of being able to work with clients, being able to work with like teams, being able to build something, that kind of point towards product and consulting.
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 Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
So with consulting, or like I don't know, from the examples I've gotten from like a few of my friends who are in management consulting, it's the idea of being able to solve all these problems for companies that either don't have time to do or just are stuck in doing it.
So what kind of companies are you applying to?
So I applied to Deloitte, Oliver Wyman, and BCG.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Was this to Waterloo?
And McKinsey.
Was this to Waterloo or?
So Oliver Wyman was through Waterloo. Deloitte, McKinsey, and BCG were not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you applied for 4 consulting companies and what?
4 consulting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You applied for Flexport. You said Microsoft.
Flexport, Microsoft, Credit Karma, Stripe. What other ones? Asana. I feel like there's 2 or 3 more on there. And then after going through all the interview processes and grinding the interviews and learning how to case prep, which is something we're never taught in engineering, and being like having some mentors to actually teach me how to case prep or provide me like where to like look for understanding how to do cases. After going through all that in like December till I guess February, that was the entire recruiting season. And then I had some offers and it was a hard decision to choose.
So what were the offers and like how did that stuff play out?
Yeah. So on the tech side, it was Credit Karma and then a return to Flexport, and it's Microsoft, and so those were like 3 like main ones. And then on the consulting side, it was Deloitte, Oliver Wyman, and for McKinsey, I didn't get a response. I didn't even get an interview. That's probably because of my grades. It's really bad. And then BCG, I somehow made it to second round, which was like really scary because like with BCG it's like 2 rounds. The first round is like 2 cases, and the second round is like 2 cases with senior people
on site.
And I remember it's like. I think it's like they sent me an email. So it's funny because I didn't like case prep at all from like until middle of January, and then I somehow got the email like, hey, you're invited to do the interview, and the interview is on Monday, and it's a Thursday, and so I have fucking like I don't know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have 4 days to figure out how to do cases and actually learn.
I mean, don't people always say like there's a lot of overlap between prepping for a PM interview and a consulting interview?
Definitely, yeah. I think that's what really like let me kind of gain the skills or be able to like case prep really fast in 4 days. I think the overlap works like how you structure your problems and how you answer them. But I think the biggest difference is like the timing of them. So for example, I think for management consulting, it's more like you have a problem, how do you solve it? Or what would you do to figure out what the actual problem is? For product, it's more like you know the product, you know the problem, the kind of customers are kind of like what the situation is, how do you solve it, or what do you do to actually build it? So it's kind of 2 sides of the spectrum.
So you said you have 5 offers. You had Oliver Wyman, Deloitte, Flexport, Credit Karma, and Microsoft.
That's correct.
Out of those 5, you picked Credit Karma.
Yeah.
What was your rationale?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the the consulting side first. So Deloitte is the BTA program, with OW is the management consulting internship in New York. I think between the 2, I didn't really want to be the front office to get the BTA kind of program, so that was a quick elimination. And then OW was like the winner for the consulting side, and then for the tech side, it was Flexport, Credit Karma.
It's like a playoff.
So yeah, it's essentially playoffs, and like you have like 2 weeks to decide between all these, or like a week and a half for some of them. And so Flexport, I'd already been there. I know exactly how they worked, and it was a great experience.
And you said you had a full-time offer if you decide to come back.
Well, possible for a full-time offer. So like I know the team, so it's like I feel like relationships are there. So like if I were to go somewhere else and learn some more things and come back, it's possible that that could be transitioned. While my goal is again keep on learning, be like a better person, like be able to learn as much as I can. So then like Flexport was eliminated, so now it's between Microsoft and Credit Karma. One of the things I mentioned was focus on the team. So with the team for Microsoft, it was one of the database like security or reliability or something. It wasn't very like.
It was very technical.
It was very technical, which is great. I think some people love that. It wasn't something I was looking into. And then Credit Karma was one of the teams that's kind of like their newest team, small team, great manager, and so for me it was like, all right, now it's between Credit Karma and
championship. So
now it's a championship. Yeah, it's Oliver Wyman or Credit Karma. And that was, I've kind of like eliminated this, and I have like a week now left to figure out these 2, and that was a hard decision, like probably the hardest decision I've like, had to make in a really long time. With OW, it was like a great experience, completely brand new, haven't tried it, great people, Credit Karma, like the exact same situation, but I've already kind of like done products, so it's like, alright, this might be a bit repetitive, or it might be like not as much of a learning experience. So I do, I think it's best to ask people who've already gone through something like this. So check LinkedIn, saw people who did consulting to product or product consulting, and just reach out to them. Some of them were already in my network, so it's a quick Facebook message. The ones who weren't, try to get a coffee chat with them and see how their experience was. And it was like 10, 15 coffee chats with the people who either were consulting product or product consulting, and the biggest realization there, I guess, to save you all that time and trouble, it is, first of all, both paths are amazing. I think that's the first thing everyone says, like, dude, you're fine, don't worry, whichever one you choose is fine, but know that if you go, a lot of these consultants are trying to go on product.
That's so true.
That's so true, right? And I didn't realize that, and then a lot of these consultants are trying to go product, and not many products were trying to go to consulting, which is fine, but the ones who did want to go to consulting, all they had to do was go to MBA school, do a graduate school, like go to some MBA program, and they could do consulting right after. The same thing was said about consulting to product, but it seemed like it was a lot more difficult for consultants who, even though they went to an MBA program, it was a bit still hard to get to a product position. So it just made sense where the mentality of, I can do product right now, and if I did want to switch to consulting, I can go to MBA or re-attempt for consulting after. So that was kind of like the logic and reason on it. And I remember, I think it was like 2 days before the deadline now, it's someone in consulting then messaged me on LinkedIn. It was a cold email, a cold message, and she asked, hey, like I'm at this firm, notice that you're a product at this company, would love to chat. And I'm like, wait, I'm trying to get to your spot, you're trying to get to my spot, like what the hell? And then it just made me realize, like, all right, I should just keep on learning, just keep on doing product. I think it's the most effective thing to make probably right now. I'll miss out on the entire consulting aspect of everything, but
Make the best of it.
Make the best of both, and if product turns to shit in the next internship, which hopefully it doesn't, then I'll jump back into the consulting route.
You touched on something that is kind of really interesting. You said that, and it's actually very common. A lot of my friends in engineering, two things. First of all, like one thing kind of. A lot of my friends in engineering actually don't like coding. Not even just that. A lot of my friends in software don't like coding.
There's a lot of friends who are like out of Facebook and Google. I was like, fuck, like I just hate this. I'm like, you're still doing it, but like, like it get paid. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Like everyone has different.
It's like how when did you make that realization, and why don't you like coding?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like working with like a lot of like smart engineers and like being part of a team of like engineers, I feel like I was like always the, how do you call it, like the weight, like I was getting carried. I was always getting carried. I wasn't that good, and I think like even though I tried to learn and like do stuff, it just wasn't like it just didn't work for me. But for me it was more like, all right, I have this problem, I have the idea of like how to solve it, but like now actually building it, it's funny that I'm even like saying this out loud now, but it's like building it is like what I struggle with. In terms of actually like coding it out. Yeah,
that's interesting. So Flexport, where are they?
They're in Santa. Yeah.
Wow. So that I think this whole thing in like, is it Cali or bust?
The Cali or bust kind of like me. I feel like it's. I feel like it's started out Waterloo, probably.
Yeah, that's why.
Well, with the Cali or bust idea, it's the mentality of like you go to California and you're someone, or you don't. You're kind of like no one, or you go to California for the money and the experience. And like it's weird. I'm actually not a big fan of California. I think like living in San Fran is like I guess it was just very. There's a lot of like highs and lows. There's like amazing highs where it's like meeting some really cool people. You're like seeing like people like go on these one wheel like electric motors like sweep by you. Everyone's riding scooters. It's like it's a sick experience. It looks futuristic, but there's also like a lot of downside to it. Like the homelessness, the crisis. A lot of people are just all techs who don't really have much like diversity in terms of work.
Interest,
If you meet someone, it's like, oh, like you're talking to them, and then you're like, oh, you work at this company. Oh yeah, I heard about this. Or like, oh yeah, you IPO. You'll hear IPO or like stock like at least 5-6 times a day on the street. If you take a walk down the street, you'll hear like someone be like, yeah, we just IPO, and like, now I have this much. And it's like, holy shit, like this guy looks so casual. It's a great place to be for tech. I think you have to be there at least once, or should be there once, to kind of experience it. Long term, I'm still trying to figure that out, which is why the last business and stuff to like give it a second try. But no, I think that mentality of Cali bus it's I don't know, it's weird. I don't really have any comments on it.
So now there's sort of two cultures that are very high pressure, right? There's the culture of like Waterloo Engineering, the top school, a lot of people like grind really hard to get into that program. And then you saw the high pressure environment of Cali bus, where people want to get to California, work really hard, pull all nighters, all kind of stuff. So how do you sort of find that balance between like working in like high pressure, and especially in Waterloo Engineering, and also in California, around a lot of high achievers, and you guys all very ambitious. But at the same time, you want to have like that balance, like mental health and work-life balance.
Definitely.
How do you sort of approach that issue?
Sure. I think you can give like one thing I can say to this is like it was something that I kind of learned first year from a mentor was don't ever compare yourself to someone else. You don't know how they got to where they are. You don't know how they don't know how you got to where you are. Everyone has a different story. You should never compare yourself to someone else, but you should look up to people, or you should like kind of be ambitious and try to figure out what's next. And that's the most like impactful thing in a high stress, high pressure thing with a lot of high achievers is that you shouldn't be comparing yourself to others, but instead of just doing it for yourself, like try your best.
But see, the thing is, we all know that, right? Like, even I know that.
I also did.
I still do it once in a while.
That's fair. Like in the first year, I think the first year was like super scary for like even the first week of school, where it's like, wow, I just went from being like the top person in my school, in high school, now I'm like a nobody here.
You got a 97? I got a 97.
Or you went to IB? Whoa. Like everyone's super like stacked. Everyone's amazing at Waterloo, and every university, everyone's amazing. And it's really hard. Like it's hard. It's like you have that. Like you're kind of afraid. I was afraid first year where I was like, I don't think I belong here. Everyone's like super smart. I'm like, I'm not really smart. I think I just really like work really hard. And yeah, I think the first month or so of engineering, it was just like, all right, shit, I'm really sad. Whereas like everyone else is doing like super well in class, everyone's doing super well in like careers, and I'm just trying to like get.
So how do you get out of that, right?
Honestly, that mentality. I just have to realize like, hey, everyone's different. I should just focus on myself and figure out what I want. Should not be comparing myself to others academically, professionally, and honestly, so it's like just take some breaks. Like it's the same grind with the high pressure.
I was gonna ask you about that, like the whole like burnout thing.
Yeah, I've definitely like near burnout like I think twice now. Even like academically and professionally, and it's messed up. You'll be working like if it's a 4-month internship, I think the 3rd month or so, you'll be working like 40-50 hours a week, and you'll have done that for 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, you're kind of like, shit, what am I doing?
So like a couple of questions I have now is like, so prior to you feeling burnt out, what are you doing that gets you to that point, and how do you realize like, man, I'm actually burnt out now? Yeah,
I think there's 2 things. When I was burnt out, anyways, when I like reflected upon that, I think it was 2 things. One was like working way too many hours. A lot of companies, for startups, you are kind of expected to work a lot of hours, but you also have to kind of have that work-life balance. And so when I was working at a startup, it was hard when I was just playing all-nighters, working like really hard, and you feel burnt out, but you still like want to keep on building shit. So it's the mentality of like you still want to do it, but now your body, yourself, you physically cannot, or you're just like really like sore to do it. I think it's the first reason. The second reason is just like. I think at some point you realize that it might not be worth it anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's some internships where it's like, wait, I put in so much effort, like 3 months of effort, and I've done all this, but like why? Or like what's the real impact of this? And that kind of like made me reflect, like, all right, I don't want to be doing like projects or work that doesn't really help people. And if there's no reason for me to do it, why am I doing it? Right? If it's for learning, fine. That's still a reason. So that's the reason why I'm doing it. I'm not even learning anymore. It's just repetitive. It's just like the same thing over and over again. You kind of like get that burnt out feeling of like, why are you doing this? And then you just stop.
So like now, like maybe reflect on yourself personally, and also like advice to people like, how do you don't look at the camera. Look at me. Like so, like how do you avoid burnout and like get more of a balance in your life? Yeah,
I think 2 things that I do anyways. One is reflect. After like every Sunday, I just reflect and like just see how the week went. Like see like, hey, what did I do this week? That was like really cool. What was like really bad? Or what should I be focusing on next week? Like my calendar is like, I love my calendar. I can't live without it. So
every special app or
no, it's just a regular calendar app.
Google Calendar.
Google Calendar. Like every half an hour, it designated as something.
If I don't know if I can do that. Man.
Yeah, I'll change it after. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like even if I'm taking a break, it'll be like slide it in there so I remember to take a break. And that's the second point I was going to make, which is take breaks. Even for studying, even for work, just take a break there. You know, like HR knows this. Companies and startups and tech, they all know that you need to take a break, which is why some of the like bigger companies are like making sure that you take breaks. So they're adding sleep pods, they're adding like random stuff to make sure that you take a break from work, go relax, and then come back and do work. Because you'll probably be, first of all, more impactful, and the people actually do a lot more work, and second, avoid the burnout feeling. Yeah.
So second half of the interview, the question I want to start this half with is, what's your why? So ever since I've known you, you're the kind of guy that does a million and one thing. You do so many things, and whenever I see people super doing involuntary activity, I'm like why? What's driving them?
No, definitely.
What is driving you?
No, definitely. Again, going back to the point where it's if you're doing something that's not really helping anyone, it's not really doing anything of impact, why are you doing it? And so for me as well, it's that, right? Where if I'm doing work, right now actually, one thing I'm super hyped for right now is a thing called Jumpstart, which is an idea for helping people get internships. It's for those from Waterloo, it's Waterloo Works, but for kind of all universities. And so, I'm not even getting paid for that. It's more just I want to help do that.
Why do you want to help people?
It's giving back. I think looking back, in first year, for the people who helped me, and in second year, people who helped me out, both in terms of helping me out with resumes or interviews, or even just connecting me jobs and stuff like that. I've a lot of people have helped me out, and I think it's time to give back. And so everything I'm doing right now in terms of school and career, school-wise, anyways, is more about giving back, and then career-wise, it's more about what can I do to learn the most.
So on the topic of the why and what drives you, I have a question I call the 1, the 5, and the 25. And the idea behind this question is, what would you like to be doing? Where do you see yourself? A year from now, 5 years from now, 25 years from now?
So that's a hard question. I think the 1 and 5 I've solidified to some degree. 25 is probably a little bit too far, but we'll take a stab at it. The 1 year is probably be a product manager at one of the companies ideally in SF or in Toronto. Work on a project or a product that I'm super passionate about and is helping a lot of people. The reason I chose Credit Karma was the team it's a brand new team. Their goal, which I can't talk about, which is to help a lot of these people financially. Something that I see a lot of Americans struggle with, and even a lot of Canadians.
So let's say a year from now, you graduated university.
So
what would be your ideal company to work for?
Yeah, so big company, small team. That's the first thing. The second thing is then a product that's helping people, and the third thing is being a product manager.
Yeah, so give me some names. What are some companies you see right now? I would love to work for that company.
Yeah. Let me think about this. The two that are again top of mind. I guess the 3 that are on top of mind would be Shopify, Flexport, Credit Karma. 3 companies.
You can't say companies you've already worked for, man. That's such a political correct answer. Again, you love all these companies. A company that you haven't worked with that's doing really cool stuff.
Sure. The company that I work for that is doing pretty cool shit. Something called Brex. Yeah, Brex is it's a big corporate card. BREX. They launched I want to say a year ago. Yeah, a year ago. Insanely stacked founders, insanely stacked team. They're building a corporate card for startups. The idea is you have the Amexes of the world, you have the Chase Sapphires of the world. And they're amazing points, but for startups, there aren't very many corporate cards. And they're basically helping these startups do 2 things. One is basically allow them to have a better, or have them allocate their capital a lot easier with them. So giving them a 30-day net term with their credit card to help startups, especially when we were at a startup and 30 days could mean your bank account is negative versus actually staying afloat. And the second thing that they're doing is that points reward system, which I feel that's a really hot thing right now. The points system, I think Drop in Toronto's doing that as well. And the idea of the points and rewarding people for doing what they usually do anyways is a really cool aspect. And so I think working on that would be really cool. Yeah.
But I'm just gonna give a little contrarian take on this one. So what about this idea solving 1% problems, right?
Sure.
Because I feel Credit Karma, I'm not sure what they do, but I feel it's sort of lending. It's lending, and probably lending maybe people who don't have access to capital. So to me that's making the world a better place.
Definitely.
But then I'm okay, corporate rewards for startup employees.
This is for startups, right? So again, we're looking at the aspect of helping people help others. Startups are there to solve a problem. They're there to help people. If you can help them with their capital, which I think some great companies are doing, Clearbanc is doing that really well. and Bryce, I think, is like starting to do that really well as well, is a phenomenal idea. And it's the idea of like, how do you, I guess you're not helping these startups directly, or you're not helping the people directly, but you're helping them indirectly by helping the startup.
Dude, honestly, I agree with you, and I actually have the same opinion that you have, but I just feel like it'd be a good interaction to show the other side.
That's fair, yeah. No, I definitely agree with that.
So now let's look more like 5 or 25, so like
sure.
shop kind of goals you want to do.
Yeah, 5 or 25. I think 5, it's probably like starting my own, like hopefully having a good idea and starting my own kind of business. If not, then kind of like leading a team of product and kind of being.
What's like a moonshot like
moonshot? Like,
you know how that Bill Gates says you underestimate what you can do in like 10 years? Like if you had like like not unlimited time, but like 5-25 year time scale. Okay. What's like a really big problem you sort of want to tackle, want to solve?
Big problem I want to tackle. Yeah, like all my ideas are really bad right now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not even a solution, just
sure.
like a problem you see, like just pissing you off.
I think a lot of the problems that piss me off right now are just like all financial problems, like just anything financially, anything related to finance that disables people to do things really pisses me off. And so if you can help them enable themselves in terms of like getting access or even learning, like there's some really cool companies that just educate people on finance or how to kind of better manage their loans or better manage their student loans. Something that's I think is a really big problem. Like even that is something that really pisses me off and I think that needs to be fixed.
What's your ethnicity?
India.
India. So you mentioned, so like, do you ever think about like in terms of like India, you know, developing countries that's on the come up? Like, do you ever think about maybe going back or like sort of like impact you can make there, things of that nature?
Sure. I've actually never been. So.
Oh wow.
It's unfortunate to say. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I should probably make that trip at some point. There might be some problems that need to be solved there, but as far as I know, I'm not really sure yet. There's a lot of problems everywhere in the world, and it's just taking each problem one step at a time.
That's true. Okay, so now let's go with this question I call "What are you currently obsessed with?"
Okay.
So this can literally be anything.
Sure.
A workout at the gym, a new restaurant, and maybe an Instagram channel, account bag, YouTube channel, a workout, anything.
Yeah.
Podcast, book, anything. Right. What's something you're currently obsessed with?
Currently obsessed with. I think right now it's just giving back. Like.
Oh my goodness. You can't say that, man. You cannot say that.
I think you can definitely say that. Like that's exactly what I'm obsessed with. It's like right now, like. I think I've booked my entire schedule in terms of like 23% is academic. I don't have like co-op right now, so there's no recruiting, there's nothing like that, and the rest of it is just either enjoying time with friends, which I feel like I've left a lot, because like other.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I mean, what, like, so when you're not trying to make the world a better place and give back, all that great stuff, when you just want to like kick back, relax, and have fun, what's like your go-to activity right now you enjoy doing?
Cool. All right, let me think about this. I feel like after this event that we're actually doing that right now, but after this event, I'll probably just be going home, reading a quick book, and just like sleeping.
It's like,
what's a long time?
What are you reading right now? Like, what are some good books or podcasts or something like that?
There's a good podcast. Oh, let me go to my phone. There's a good podcast. I actually have it set up. Let's go read this on the way back. It was suggested by a fellow Western friend,
really?
Amy Wang.
Amy Wang. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out Amy.
That's right, Amy.
By the way, sliding the camera range a bit more.
Yeah. I think was it this one? I think it was Masters of Scale. Yeah.
Masters.
Oh, How I Built This.
How I Built This.
I think that's what you recommended. Yeah. How I Built This. I think it's really cool. Like it's insane. Like everyone has like a cool story. Not many people know these stories. And I think it's just like really fascinating to learn about other people's stories.
That's pretty cool.
But I think that's more like the soft answer. The more like fun answer is just like it's just like go out, go to a club, go to a bar. You'll find me at Easy or Revel. that's the more realistic answer of like me like relaxing. Yeah, clubbing just energizes me and lets me kind of get back to work. Or I think that's another point for burning out. With burning out, I realized like one thing that energizes me or kind of makes me the extrovert that I am is clubbing. I remember in like one of the summers or something, just going clubbing every 2 weeks or 3 weeks just really helped bring me back to life.
That's pretty cool.
And be able to go to work and just grind it away.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The second last question is so if people find the stuff you're saying interesting, they want to reach out to you.
Sure.
How can people contact you?
Facebook's probably the easiest.
Okay. And I think I would recommend LinkedIn as well because we're public facing.
Yeah.
So Umesh Khanna, you can find him on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
Final question is, and this is a two-part question I'm still working on, so whichever one you want to tackle is maybe like a letter to your younger self.
Okay.
You know, when you were like 16, 18, 19, whatever.
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you give yourself back then?
Back then.
Or you can take this back to like just for like if you want to give someone watching this or anyone just like one final piece of advice.
One final piece of
What do
advice.
you want to say?
Honestly, I think it'd be two parts. One would be like, again, like going back to the idea, which I kind of like learned later, and you said you kind of knew, was don't compare yourself. Like, just focus on yourself. Just do what you like. Just keep on building yourself. And that's like super valuable, super important. And I think
just to push you a bit more on that question, because I think you're so right about
yeah,
this.
no, like,
but my issue with this is that like everybody knows this. Like
great,
and you
did not know this. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, Great Love Me did not know this. I was like, Great Love Me was super like I guess it wasn't it wasn't a competitive environment, so there weren't many students and stuff, but it was still like the mentality of like, hey, I need to be like number one, or like I need to get this so I can get this. And I think like having that mentality was really toxic. And so looking back, I would definitely tell myself like, dude, like don't be a dick like that.
So then like what if you're talking like maybe like you're mentoring a high school student right now.
Yeah.
Or even a Waterloo first year student.
Sure.
And you're telling them don't compare yourself to other people. And like they know they shouldn't do it.
Sure.
But they're still doing it anyway.
Okay.
Like sort of do you know how to like is there anything you can say or like advice you can give them to stop doing that?
Yeah, it's probably hard to like convince, but I think my biggest feedback there would be like, you know, just asking them like two things. First thing is like, what do you like doing? And that's what you asked me as well. You know, it's hard for me to answer because I still don't know what I like doing, or I'm still figuring that out. But it's like, what do you like doing? And if you do like that, just keep on doing it. And then talking about like, what do you not like doing? And if they can answer that, then it's great. If they can't answer that, which I feel like was the case with me as well in grade 11, 12, if you ask me, what do you not like doing? I'd be like, I don't know. I want to do everything. And then getting to that point where it's like you want to do everything, that gets into the competitive mindset of like, I want to compare myself to everyone now. And the reason I say that is that, you know, let's do a switch idea. Say I wanted to be good at basketball, academics, and soccer.
Play in the NBA and go to medical school.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you can do probably one, maybe two of those things. Doing all three, that's killer. But if you have that mentality of like what you don't like, so now you know what you like, but others don't like, can you put one of those in there? And if you could, then you kind of have that idea of like, all right, I don't need to be like an all-star basketball player. I can just focus on academics, or I do want to be an all-star basketball player, so I'm just gonna keep on like burning myself and working my ass off and being that. And so I think those two things are like pretty valuable.
I'm gonna jump on that piece of advice.
Sure.
One thing I always like to tell people is like this idea of social media, right? Like, I'm not gonna tell people not to use social media because I think social media actually makes the world a better place.
Yeah.
But I think it's all about how you use it. And what I always tell people is like, if you're following someone and they're really successful, I feel like you feel two emotions.
Yeah.
You either feel inspired or you feel envious. And I'm more like, if you follow someone and they're just constantly making you feel envious and jealous and hate yourself, unfollow them.
That's fair.
But if you're following someone and they inspire you, then follow more people that are like that.
Yeah.
And so make sure you're getting more inputs that are inspirational and not envious.
That's why this channel is doing super well.
I'm getting there.
Getting there. No, definitely. Like even for me, like I've went through a small social media cleanse, like deleted Snapchat, took off Insta for a bit, faculty here and there.
Everyone deletes Instagram and then gets it again. I did that.
But like the Snap still deleted. Facebook, I don't really use the main feed. I use like just Messenger.
Same.
Like Messenger.com is key. Apparently there's a trick where you can delete your Facebook but still have Messenger.
I feel like Facebook is still useful though.
I feel like it's like for newspaper. I end up just like watching
because like events and things like that. I don't know.
That's fair.
I'm also like starting a company, so like I need kind of Facebook.
You gotta do that, yeah.
Otherwise, I would use it a lot less.
That makes sense. Yeah. And the second thing I want to talk about, like advice to kind of a student or younger self, is like go to Shad.
Go to Shad.
Go to Shad. I know that pays for credit. I didn't know anything about Shad in like high school. Never applied. I think when I did look at it once, it was like a really sketch website, and it was like thousands of dollars. And I was like, right, screw that. But now looking back, it's like a lot of my friends who did go to Shad, I think they've done a lot, they've learned a lot, and I think it'd be like a great opportunity to also figure out what you want to do. You know, talking to some of my friends, they were like, yeah, we did Shad, we did like this, and so then I went to this school because of that reason. I'm like, holy shit, that's amazing logic. I wish I should do this.
I would say to build on your point, I think even just beyond just Shad, almost any event that makes you meet like-minded high school students, like for example, have you heard of TKS?
TKS, my sister's in that.
Okay, so TKS, wow, that's pretty cool.
So mentioning my like sister, you know, TKS is one thing I got her into, or she got herself into, and then Shad hopefully will work out as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So Umesh, man, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Catch you guys on the next episode of AtilaTV.
See ya.
Peace.
Cool.
That was good, man.
Yeah.